Welcome inside Beaver Stadium, where Ohio State just earned its biggest win of the season to date, a 20-13 victory over the number-free Nittany Lions. And Andy, the question all week was, would this offensive line get the job done? And they did, especially on that final drive. Ohio State needed to run for several first downs to finish off the game, and the Buckeyes were able to win the game with some good old-fashioned power football and get the kind of statement win they really needed here in Happy Valley.
This was a hallmark performance by the offensive line. All the shuffles that were going on, I don't think you could have asked any more from that unit today. Yes, you gave up a couple sacks to Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter is a great player and was having to be blocked by a guard playing tackle. Speaking of which, Donovan Jackson, I thought, stepped up in a big way. Outside of those couple of plays, which Abdul Carter is just faster than him and beat him on a couple of speed rushes, I don't think you can even really blame Donovan that much for that. But the left side of the line, man, was getting great push. He and Carson Hinsman, who filling in for his first start since last season when he was the starting center. Buckeyes moved him out after he lost the guard competition. Seemed like Austin Searveld had passed him on the depth chart. And now he comes out and has a great performance in this game. They were able to run the football consistently, 4 for 4, picking up first downs in the short yardage situations, which was a big stat in this game, and converted a few key ones on that final drive you just mentioned, man. And it was just run the rock, and they moved the chains with it and beat down Penn State in a way that I certainly didn't expect coming into this game. I will admit, I was one of the biggest, hey, maybe lean on the pass a little more in this one. Maybe, I'm not sure you're going to be able to run the ball. Look at last week. Look at the offensive line shuffles. And man, was I proven wrong. This offensive line, have to give all the credit in the world to how they played today.
It feels like maybe they kind of stumbled into a plan B that actually worked with Donovan Jackson moving to left tackle, Carson Hinsman to left guard. You'd have to think that's going to continue to be the plan going forward based on the way they played today. Even when Zen Michalski's healthy, I think it was pretty clear this combination worked out better. And so we'll see if they can continue to build off of this. But, certainly getting it done here today and maybe the biggest game remaining in the regular season, absolutely huge for Ohio State in terms of controlling its own destiny in the Big Ten championship race, which it now firmly does if it can win out the remainder of its regular season games. And I also think this Ohio State defense made a statement today. Yeah. The Oregon game, first big test of the year, Ohio State's defense did not look like the #1 defense in the country. Today, I think for the most part it did. It did not allow a single touchdown, and certainly the two things that are going to stand out about the defense from this game. End of the first half, Davis and Igbinosun made what might be the play of the year for Ohio State, really, because you're talking about a game-changing play. Ohio State, they had left 7 points on the table in the first half with Will Howard's fumble. They are at risk of going down right before the half. Davis and Igbinosun with a phenomenal interception right over here in this back right corner of the end zone where some other media are standing right now. Just a phenomenal play by him to steal away a touchdown and get the ball back for Ohio State, get Ohio State off the field with no points, and get them into the half of a lead. And then, the second half, it felt like Ohio State kind of letting them hang around. But Penn State, they get the ball down to the 3 on a really nice play by Tyler Warren. You're thinking, here they go. They're in perfect position now to tie this game and really put all the pressure back on Ohio State. And Ohio State's defense, Tyleik Williams is out of the game. He had gotten hurt earlier in the drive. They've got Hero Canoe in there, Caden McDonald, some other backups in there. And they stopped Penn State on 4 straight plays, starting at the 3-yard line. I think certainly if you're on the other side of this game, you're probably talking about Big Game James again, and the call he made on 4th down, throwing the ball there from the 1-yard line. Maybe not the best play call, but Ohio State's defense, we've seen it three games in a row now. Even in that Oregon game, they had the goal line stand to force a field goal, and then you've got in Nebraska they have one, and then today you have those 2 goal line stands. One with the interception, and then the one in the fourth quarter to go and win this game for Ohio State. We said it coming into the day. The 2 things that were going to determine this game for Ohio State is, can the offensive line get the job done, and can the defense play like the elite units it's supposed to be, and both of those things came true.
I thought all 3 levels. The first half of this game, maybe even the first 3 quarters, the defensive line was not getting home in the pass rush. Drew Aller was able to scramble for some gains, but throughout the game, it was bend but don't break. You go back, Ohio State won this game 20-13. 7 of those points came on a pick 6. The defense gave up 6 points in this game, despite Penn State getting to the 3-yard line twice. That's crazy. I can't think of another game with a defensive performance that defines bend but don't break that much. And I think the way you laid out the game there is a good microcosm of how it was for Ohio State today. Look, I think Ohio State proved pretty well that they were the better team in this game. I think there's a world where Will Howard doesn't fumble it out of the end zone from the 1 yard line, doesn't throw that pick six. A few other things don't happen where Ohio State's shooting itself in the foot, and they win this game comfortably by multiple scores. But those things happened, and you go through that adversity and you bounce back. And then Davis and Igbinosun, right before he got that massive interception, that fantastic play, gave up a huge catch where he was called for defensive holding. And yet he stayed locked in, matched up against the same receiver, Harrison Wallace, and made that great play in the end zone. It just felt like the whole team, the offensive line going through all it's gone through in the last 3 weeks, and losing Josh Simmons, losing Zin Mahalski, shuffling twice, all the criticisms that were lofted at them following that Nebraska game. For a team that has often been criticized under Ryan Day for its toughness, people saying that Day's not a winner or whatever, that was a pretty tough outing right there. To bounce back so many times like that, the goal line stand by the defense, which Penn State ran 3 dives right before they threw it and couldn't break through. So, I just think this was the kind of win that Ryan Day's program needed.
Ryan Day is now 6-0 against Penn State. James Franklin is now 1-10 against Ohio State. Our Matt Gutcher's did the stat. The only Big Ten coach with a worse record of 10 losses with less wins against Ohio State was Lee Corso back when he was at Indiana. And so, Ryan Day and Ohio State are continuing to dominate this series. That's 8 wins in a row now against Penn State, which is the longest in series history. And I think Ohio State deserves a ton of credit for his game. I mean, this was after 1 possession for each team. Penn State was up 10-0, and you're starting to think, oh boy, like are the wheels about to fall off the bus here? And then really the rest of the game, Ohio State dominated the game. Except that, from really kind of that late in the second quarter to midway through the fourth quarter on, you kind of felt like, I think there were 5 drives in a row where Ohio State had a chance to take a 2-score lead, and they couldn't do it. And you're thinking, man, they have these opportunities to step on their throat, and they're not doing it. But they never relinquished the lead. And that's what matters. In a game like this, it doesn't matter what the final scoreboard looks like as long as you have more points than the other team. Mm-hmm. Ohio State did that today. Ohio State, very likely on Tuesday when the first set of college football playoff rankings come out, is going to be ranked in the top 3 in the country now. And, this is an Ohio State team. All its goals are in front of it. Ryan Day said it in the postgame press conference. He admitted this program was at a crossroads. If Ohio State lost this game today, there were going to be a lot of discussions about Ryan Day's future and whether this team was still in the playoff race. What had gone wrong for this team. But now to come out here and get a tough victory today, everything remains in front of this Ohio State football team. We'll see if they can build on it. Couple easier games coming up, you'd think, the next couple weeks against Purdue and Northwestern. But of course, really all building up to a very tough end of November against Indiana, and then of course the game against Michigan.
Right.
And so a lot more to come for this Ohio State football team because of getting this big win here in Beaver Stadium today. Everything is in front of the Buckeyes. We're going to have a lot more coverage to come on 11warriors.com. So please stay with us over there, and we'll catch you again next time on After Carmen.